The year was 1914. Europe was a continent of empires, but tensions simmered beneath the surface. On June 28th, a spark ignited the powder keg. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and his wife Sophie were assassinated in Sarajevo. The assassin, Gavrilo Princip, was a Serbian nationalist. Austria-Hungary, outraged, blamed Serbia for the act. The assassination sent shockwaves through Europe. Austria-Hungary, with Germany's support, issued an ultimatum to Serbia. Serbia, fearing invasion, agreed to some demands, but not all. This partial acceptance was not enough for Austria-Hungary. On July 28, 1914, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand was more than a political murder. It was a catalyst. It exposed the deep-seated rivalries and mistrust that plagued Europe. The continent held its breath, bracing for the storm that was to come. Europe in the early 20th century was a web of alliances. These alliances, meant to deter aggression, instead became chains that dragged nations into war. Germany and Austria-Hungary were allies. So were France, Russia and Great Britain. When Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, Russia, bound by its alliance, mobilized its army in support of Serbia. Germany, fearing a two-front war, saw Russia's mobilization as a threat. It declared war on Russia on August 1st and on France 2 days later. Germany's war plan involved a swift invasion of France through neutral Belgium. This violation of Belgian neutrality brought Great Britain into the war on August 4th. Within a week, the assassination in Sarajevo had plunged Europe into a continental war. The system of alliances, meant to prevent war, had instead facilitated it. The Great War, as it came to be known, had begun. World War I was unlike any war before. New technologies transformed the battlefield. Machine guns, artillery and poison gas made movement nearly impossible. Armies dug into trenches, creating a stalemate. Life in the trenches was horrific. Soldiers endured shelling, machine gun fire and snipers. Disease was rampant, and the psychological toll immense. Millions fought for yards of mud in endless battles. The war introduced new horrors to the world. Section 4. Revolution in Russia. As the war dragged on, its impact reverberated far beyond the trenches of the Western Front. In Russia, the strains of war proved too much for the crumbling Tsarist regime. The Russian people, suffering from food shortages and economic hardship, rose up in revolution in 1917. The February Revolution forced Tsar Nicholas II to abdicate, ending centuries of Romanov rule. The Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, seized power in the October Revolution. Promising peace, land and bread, the Bolsheviks signed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with Germany in 1918, effectively ending Russia's involvement in the war. Russia's exit from the war had significant consequences. It allowed Germany to transfer troops from the Eastern Front to the West, briefly giving them a numerical advantage. However, the Russian Revolution also sent shockwaves through the world, inspiring revolutionary movements and ushering in an era of communist ideology. Section 5. Across the Atlantic, America enters the fray. The United States, initially neutral, watched the war in Europe with growing concern. German submarine warfare and the Zimmermann telegram swayed public opinion. On April 6, 1917, the United States declared war on Germany. The entry of the United States into the war was a turning point. American troops provided a morale boost to the Allies. By 1918, the tide of the war had turned decisively in favor of the Allies. On November 11, 1918, an armistice was signed, ending the fighting. Section 6. A flawed peace, the Treaty of Versailles. In 1919, the victors of World War I gathered in Paris to forge a lasting peace. The Treaty of Versailles, signed with Germany, was meant to prevent another global conflict. However, the treaty, instead of fostering reconciliation, sowed the seeds of future discord. The treaty blamed Germany for the war and imposed harsh punishments. Germany was forced to cede territory, disarm its military, and pay crippling reparations. These terms left Germany economically devastated and resentful. The treaty also redrew the map of Europe, creating new nations and igniting new tensions. The Treaty of Versailles, while intended to prevent another war, ultimately failed to address the underlying causes of the conflict. The harsh terms imposed on Germany created resentment and instability in Europe. The seeds of World War II, though sown long before, found fertile ground in the ashes of the war to end all wars.